The Mello TV Evening News at 8 is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Coronavirus is in Jamaica, and I know you feel scared and worried. But you can't let COVID-19 divide us. Coronavirus infects all kinds of people. It doesn't discriminate. So why should you? When someone coughs or sneezes or shows signs of the virus, tell them to call 888-1-LOVE immediately. And remember, stay 3 feet away, but don't attack or disrespect them, because we're all in this thing together. Come on, Jamaica, cut the hate and don't discriminate. Let us stand together and fight COVID-19 as one family, one nation.
Tonight, Kingston police investigating alleged target killings of 2 women from the REMA community.
One man come last time, come kick off our door and kill her for no reason at all. Here do them a kick off and walk up, kick off people, don't kill people.
Co-director for the People's National Party's election campaign and East Kingston and Port Royal MP PHILLIP Paulwell says that the party will be utilizing every available skill of persons within the party to ensure that the PNP wins the next general election. Still tonight, Councillor SYLVAN REID of the Salt Spring Division, joined by other political representatives and residents to demonstrate against his dismissal from the Municipal Corporation. And the St. James Municipal Corporation partners with the Caribbean Cement Company Limited and Jamaica Premix Concrete in efforts to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the parish.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news tonight as the Ministry of Health and Wellness has announced that 2 additional persons have tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of infected persons to 698, while 535 persons have recovered. In other breaking news, Prime Minister Andrew Holness just moments ago during a live digital press briefing announced updated curfew hours.
Day to next day, night to early morning curfews will continue in place, starting now at 11 p.m. on the night of June 30th, 2020 to 5 a.m. July 1, 2020, day to day until 5 a.m. on the morning of July 31st, 2020. So essentially what that means is that we have increased your movement hours, reduced the curfew hours by 1 hour. So instead of 10 p.m., the curfew starts at 11 p.m., and this will be for the entire month of July. Licensed public passenger transport, whether or not they are state or privately operated, are allowed 1 hour after the end of curfew. So as of Wednesday night, July 1, that will now be between 11 p.m. and 12 midnight until the 31st of July 2020. And they will be allowed to travel home from their last passenger drop-off. And they would have 1 hour before the beginning of curfews. That would be between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. until July 31st, 2020, to travel to their first passenger pickup. Of course, no passenger must be transported in their vehicles during the additional 1 hour periods allowed for transport operators to travel to and from their homes. In terms of gatherings,
in news from the capital, the Kingston police have launched a full investigation into the alleged targeted killings of 2 women who were murdered in the REMA community in the Western Kingston Police Divisions, hours apart between Saturday night and Sunday morning. More on this story with Killeen May.
Two women were shot dead in separate incidents in REMA, West Kingston, 4 hours apart between Saturday night and Sunday morning. Those killed have been identified as Tamara Phipps and 28-year-old Shauna K. Banks, both of REMA addresses in West Kingston. Reports are that shortly after 10:30 p.m. on Saturday, Phipps was sitting along the roadway with other persons when she was attacked and shot by armed men. Meanwhile, at about 2:40 yesterday morning, the second victim, Missy Banks, was at home in bed with her common-law husband when gunmen forced their way inside the house and shot them both. Missy Banks then managed to run to the bathroom but was chased by the armed men who again opened fire, hitting her all over her body. She collapsed on the floor. The gunmen then allegedly stole a 25-pound cooking gas cylinder, an undetermined sum of cash and utensils before making their escape. They were rushed to hospital where she was pronounced dead and her common-law husband admitted. It is alleged that the second killing was likely a reprisal for the first attack. Our news team visited the area and spoke with Miss Banks' mother, Claudia McNeil, who expressed that her daughter was very quiet and did not deserve to be killed.
Gunman come last time, come kick off her door and kill her for no reason at all. People do them a kick off and walk and kick off people, do not kill people. Our woman dead 12 o'clock. But if I reprisal, my daughter not gunman, she not there with no gunman. My daughter hard working, she not there with no gunman. My daughter is a quiet person. My daughter don't make problem with nobody. She not talk to people. From her work to her house, she not talk to people. I will ask anybody about my daughter. Anybody, she not mix with nobody. When the next one stop, the sister them and her people, where them are people are cuss in her war. She come out and tell them done. That when I stole my daughter, wouldn't fling her take up a knife. My daughter not deserve this. Man from here, a man from outer port. Man in here, a man from outer port. Because they have wanted man in here.
Following the shooting, members of the Jamaica Defense Force JDF conducted a raid in the community where the shooting took place. Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
In news from Westmoreland, a woman was fatally shot in an attack during which dancehall artist Matthew Smith, aka Ryan King, and another recording artist were shot and injured. The incident occurred along the roadway in the Struy district on Sunday afternoon. The deceased woman has been identified as 28-year-old customer service representative Sasha Lee Blackwood of Irwin Meadows in St. James. 25-year-old Mr. Smith of Norwood St. James and a Kingston 13 address was said to be in critical condition in hospital up to late on Sunday. An update on the condition of the other injured entertainer is expected shortly. Reports coming into our news center, however, are that at about 3:15 p.m., while traveling through Westmoreland, one of their vehicles met in an accident, and while assessing the damage, another vehicle drove to the location and a man armed with a handgun alighted and opened fire at Mr. Smith. He ran to avoid being shot, and Blackwood and the other man were shot in the process. The entertainer attempted to escape from the scene, but he was chased and shot multiple times by the armed man, who then escaped in the waiting motor vehicle. All three victims were rushed to the hospital, where Blackwood was pronounced dead and Smith and the other entertainer treated and admitted. The Westmoreland police are continuing their investigations. Still in Westmoreland, a man died as a result of injuries he sustained in a motor vehicle collision along the Numpere Main Road in the parish on the weekend. The deceased has been identified as 27-year-old Clement Beckford, a kitchen worker of Darling Street in Savannah, Lamar. Reports from the Negril police coming into our news center are that at about 3:20 p.m., Mr. Beckford was running across the road when he was hit by a Nissan AD wagon motor vehicle. Mr. Beckford sustained head injuries and was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The driver of the car has since been warned for possible prosecution. In news from Hanover, the police are still investigating circumstances surrounding a collision involving two motorcycles in Green Island in the parish on the weekend that has left 3 men dead. The men, who have been identified as 34-year-old Dane Wedderburn of COUNCILLOR District, 26-year-old Troy Myrie of Salt Spring, and 21-year-old Rajay Parkins of Cemetery Road in Green Island, were killed after 2 motorcycles they were riding collided and exploded, resulting in Wedderburn being burned alive and the other 2 men being killed from injuries they sustained. In news from Trelawney, a man from the parish who appeared in the Trelawney Circuit Court in Duncans on the weekend after confessing to killing 2 children in St. James in 2014 was sentenced to life in prison. The accused, 26-year-old Jason Gray of Hague Settlement, pleaded guilty to the July 13, 2014 abduction and murder of 12-year-old Omari Sterling and 10-year-old Malika Mitchell, and will have to serve a maximum of 29 years before parole. Both children reportedly accompanied relatives to the dump-up beach in Montego Bay, where Gray lured them to a section of the Jimmy Cliff Boulevard, where he abducted them both. The children were not seen until 3 days later, when their bodies were discovered in the Martha Brae River. An investigation was launched and Gray was taken into custody. Still making news tonight, Chief Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, is encouraging defense attorneys to make greater use of bench trials, which is a trial by a judge only, as opposed to a trial by jury.
There's this idea that they need to have a jury trial. And so I am also not just speaking to the lawyers, but for the defendants who may be watching this, to let them know that there is provision in the law, and you need to ask your lawyers about it, and that is, can I have a trial without a jury? So the only trial that still needs a jury is a murder trial where the death penalty is an issue that is such a small percentage of the cases now. So where we are now is that well over 99% of the cases that would involve a jury can now be tried by a judge sitting without a jury. The dates are available, but the lawyers are reluctant. And if you are of the view that you really need your matter to be heard because you need to get on with your life when you are charged with a criminal offense, there are so many things that happen to you. One, even if you're on bail, travel is restricted because they have the reporting conditions. Your employer may not be too pleased at the fact that you have been charged with a criminal offense, and so you need to get this matter resolved one way or the other. And so that facility is available.
Now, in light of the COVID-19 restrictions, jury trials have been suspended as juror boxes do not allow for social distancing. In other news tonight, co-director for the People's National Party's election campaign and Eastern Kingston and Port Royal's Member of Parliament PHILLIP Paulwell, while speaking at Sunday's area council meeting, says that the party will be utilizing every available skill of persons within the party to ensure that the PNP wins the next general election.
And we're working with a plan to ensure that there's trust that indeed all of the available skills that we have in the party, which is inconsiderable, that they are put to one aim, which is to defeat the Jamaica Labour Party. We are ensuring that all the colleagues, every single one, will work together as a single party. Some of us, based on what Peter Phillips says, will be sitting down as cabinet colleagues, and we have a mammoth task to perform.
Now, Mr. Paulwell, while addressing councillors from Region 2 and 3 yesterday afternoon at Mico Community College, further stated that the country is in a far worse condition since the governing Jamaica Labour Party has been in government.
We are in a far worse position than we were when we rescued the country in 2011. Far worse. And it is going to take the efforts of all of us to save the country. There are far more important and fundamental things that unite us than the foolishness that separates us. And it is those fundamental things that we are going back to, our commitment and our love for our party and, of course, our country.
In news from St. James, Councillor SYLVAN REID of the Salt Spring Division, other political representatives and residents of the community staged a demonstration earlier today in objection of his dismissal from the municipal corporation. Councillor REID, in his remarks to residents of Salt Spring, said that the St. James Municipal Corporation, that is comprised of the Jamaica Labour Party members, is sabotaging them.
I can only feed the people, work with the people, talk with the people, and stay with the people because the people believe in me. All that the people in the St. James Municipal Corporation, named Labour Rights, is doing is sabotage you. In the COVID, I go down to them and I said, body'll need water. I said, Mayor, the body'll here need water. I sat with him 5 times. I sent him all the texts that you send me. And until today, the only thing the mayor have done is send 1 truck of water. 1 truck of water, and it didn't come to make it up. They sent it straight to Flower Hill. It is love people who sympathize and being sympathetic today of the injustice, the callousness, and the wickedness that the Jamaica Labour Party and its musketeers have done to us in the St. James Parish Council. I can leave this word to you. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready to give them a political backsliding, and that is what they would get. So if you put me out, I will be back.
Meanwhile, PNP candidate for Central St. James, Andre Hilton, in his remarks to the residents there, said that the dismissal of Councillor REID by Mayor Homer Davis and the council was a very inconsiderate move.
We have one councillor that we voted for in 2016 for the Salt Spring Division, and his name is SYLVAN REID. Why is it that just shy of a general local government election, a few months before a local government, you have chosen to remove 2 of the most loved councillors in the St. James municipality? Why? I want to ask that question, why? The next question we want to ask the mayor and his team at the parish council is why, in the middle of a global pandemic, when people are suffering and people need their local representative to come to their aid, why is it that you have deprived the people of the Salt Spring Division of their elected councillor? I see this move as an inconsiderate move. We see it as political showmanship, maneuvering to remove the councillor at this time. So, Mr. Mayor, rethink what you're doing or what you have done.
Still in St. James, of course, we also go to residents who came out to support Councillor REID, and they had this to say.
We came out today hoping that everybody would join behind him and support what he's doing and what he has done and will continue to do, because even though they've said that he's no longer the councillor, Mr. REID is still doing the work. He's still out here feeding the people. We're out every day bringing food packages to the shut-ins. The people are desperately in need of representation, and we believe that at this time it is unfair to take away that from the people of Salt Spring.
Back to school, I have 2 grandboys, and every back to school, their bags and other goodies come for them, right? This man puts the icing on the cake. It's very good. A lot of roads in the community, further on up to the overall in the whole constituency where he represents. He done great stuff, right? This man is a very good man, and I'm out here right now to protest for him.
Mr. Reid do a lot in this community. He have given house to people who need it. You have to make roads, and all the community that in down in Bird Hill, Salt Spring, Mr. Reid have done great things what I have seen, and I am here to support him all the way to our next re-election to re-elect Mr. Reid as councillor in Salt Spring.
In other news from St. James, the parish's municipal corporation partnered with the Caribbean Cement Company Limited and Jamaica Premix Concrete Limited in efforts to keep Montego Bay's main thoroughfares sanitized to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the parish. More on this story with Brianna Chambers.
The St. James Municipal Corporation, in partnering with the Caribbean Cement Company Limited and Jamaica Premix Concrete Limited, carried out sanitization of the streets of Montego Bay yesterday. Mayor of Montego Bay, His Worship Homer Davis, lauded the initiative as a good example of partnership in keeping with a common objective.
It is an initiative that Premix had approached us on, and we subsequently understand that CARIB Cement will be a partner, and so we could not have allowed this opportunity to have missed us. We are sanitizing St. James Street and Sam Sharp Square, starting from the city center building. And as we have been seeing, as we have been reading, there's a particular community in St. James that is seeing an outbreak, the extent of which the public health will have to say what the extent is. But it is under some control, because I get information that surveillance and the necessary protocol is being done as we speak. So against that background, we're focusing on the areas that are mostly traversed by pedestrian and traffic.
General Manager of CARIB Cement, Jago Castro, said health and safety is a #1 priority and is the reason behind the support of this initiative.
It's a pleasure for me personally and for the company to be in this beautiful place, in this beautiful city, with this beautiful landscape around here in Montego Bay this morning. It's a pleasure for our company to be able to have this humble contribution to fight against this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, that, as you all know very well, is causing a lot of problems all around the world. We are not probably that used to come to Montego Bay as much as we should, so this is a good opportunity to start doing more here too, within our CSR program and our PR program. So we'll be trying to do much more things here for the people of Montego Bay in the future, and I think this is a good opportunity. It's also a good opportunity to take advantage of our assets together with our partners of Premix, Jamaican Premix, using their ready mixers and our ready mixers together. They are equipped with a mixture of disinfectant, like 30,000 gallons that we've brought today, and we will use them to fully disinfect this beautiful Sam Sharp Square and surroundings.
The sanitizing process was also assisted by the St. James Police Department and the Fire Department. Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Brianna Chambers.
As we continue with the news tonight, the Sagicor Foundation has announced that its 2020 scholarship program is now open to tertiary and secondary students across the island. Executive Director Alicia White stated that the scholarship program is an avenue through which the charitable organization can invest in the country's future and assist young Jamaicans in achieving their dreams through education. She says education is the key component of Sagicor's focus, and through this initiative, it hopes to ignite a passion of learning amongst our youths, allowing them to achieve their full potential and contribute meaningfully to the development of the country. The scholarship is being offered mainly to Sagicor clients and/or their children, and also children of Sagicor employees, and will close on Monday, July 13. And those were the stories making news. I'll return with the recap. We now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.
Coronavirus is in Jamaica, and I know you feel scared and worried. But you can't let COVID-19 divide us. Coronavirus infects all kinds of people. It doesn't discriminate. So why should you? When someone coughs or sneezes or shows signs of the virus, tell them to call 888-1-LOVE immediately. And remember, stay 3 feet away, but don't attack or disrespect them, because we're all in this thing together. Come on, Jamaica, cut the hate and don't discriminate. Let us stand together and fight COVID-19 as one family, one nation.